Tēnā koutou, ko Geddes toko ingoa, ko te Senior Bioinformation Analyst, me Chief Pilot Auckland Council ahau. Ngā mihi kia koutou katoa. I'm here to talk to you about some of the techniques and methods we utilise to support our biosecurity related programs of work. But before I jump onto that, first a bit of background on how we go about ensuring we operate UAV efficiently, effectively and safely on behalf of Council. In 2021, there was already significant UAV activity being conducted internally by Council or on behalf of Council. As part of the Natural Environment Targeted Rate Enabling Tools program, we strategically assessed the value of UAV would bring to the organisation. We concluded that environmental services and other Auckland Council departments would benefit significantly from building a framework consisting of policy, processes, workflow and tools to enable off-the-shelf UAV technology to be more readily available to the organisation. Fairly early on in the process, a council-wide UAV community of practice was established, which now has some 50 members. The initial creation of our Part 102 Ops Manual and contributions from the community of practice members allowed for the creation of a council-wide internal UAV policy outlining everything from minimum pilot requirements right through to risk documentation. It is a living document that works hand in hand with our Part 102 Ops Manual. In September 2023, we achieved CAA Part 102 certification. We now have 5 pilots at ES and 19 certified pilots across Council. Due to the size of Auckland Council and the level of interest and activity, we have deviated slightly from the prescribed CAA Part 102 organisation model. I am the Chief Pilot and prime person overseeing all operations and the primary contact for CAA, and I report to the GM, who is the person in charge. To ease the demand of the Chief Pilot, we have also created senior remote pilot roles that oversee their own departments and regularly report back to me. I won't mention all the systems and tools we utilise, but I will highlight the value of UAV operations and fleet management software. We use Fly Freely. There are others. Put simply, we would not be able to operate effectively and safely without this, and have been able to scale up from environmental services to council-wide operations. It gives all involved full visibility of historic and planned activity across the organisation. Bespoke workflows and forms are built into the system, which encourages consistent operations. All our Part 102 requirements are built into the system, including fleet and equipment inventory and maintenance, training and conformance, incidents reporting, to name just a few. So what do we utilise UAV for in environmental services? Well, the main applications are species survey and monitoring, pest, fauna and flora survey, and also native species population monitoring, most notably avifauna. This takes both qualitative and quantitative forms. Ecosystem mapping. We utilise data deliverables such as high-resolution orthophotos or aerials and surface information to maintain and update our vegetation cover and land use datasets. Incursion and emergency response. Our in-house UAV services allow us to get out on site quickly in response to biosecurity threats and other environmental and civil emergencies. This includes thermal, night vision, and multispectral technology. Storytelling and qualitative monitoring. High-resolution imagery and video are powerful mediums that help tell a story or make a point. RMA and Biosecurity Act support. Various legislation allows us to use UAV to support warranted site inspections and compliance audits. Ultimately, all this reduces the cost to serve Aucklanders. We can offer most UAV services at a third to a fifth the cost of contractors, generating the right deliverables and data quickly for Council and other partners. Highlighting, of course, we focus on off-the-shelf tech and methods, and we leave the more advanced UAV operations to contractors, for instance, herbicide application. When we started on this journey, we had some idea that there would be health and safety benefits, but we didn't appreciate how much UAV would mitigate risks we face when conducting fieldwork. The ability to virtually enter a potentially dangerous environment without physically entering significantly reduces, or in some instances eliminates, risk. Without further ado, here are some of the commonly used techniques and methods we utilise. These include obliques and 360 photo points, high-resolution orthophotos, aka aerials, high definition video for storytelling, full motion video, commonly referred to as FMV, multispectral sensors and analysis, rangefinder mapping, and thermal video and imagery. All of this is enabled by off-the-shelf technology and proven methodology. While UAV technology is constantly improving, much of the technology and methods have been around for some time. Our primary concern is how we operationalize these to make them commonplace in our work. Oblique images are simply high-resolution images taken at a set angle and altitude. 360 photo points are similar, however, as the name suggests, they offer a full 360 coverage in all directions when viewed in an appropriate browser or application. From a monitoring perspective, they are repeatable in time and at any given XYZ location. Qualitatively, they offer huge value, as often an image can tell a story much more effectively than words or data. They are also a great reference that increases the confidence of mapped data. Here's an example of a 360 photo point. This was taken at Whatapu Scientific Reserve at a height of about 40 meters. It's a high resolution image. You can zoom in and out to see features and pan across the screen. High-resolution orthophoto imagery, also known as aerials, these are generated using automated flight planning and photogrammetry processing software such as Pix4D Mapper. We are talking sub 2 centimeter resolution imagery here, in many cases allowing for accurate species identification. As such, it is an amazing reference for high-quality mapping. It's repeatable, meaning different survey periods can be overlaid in GIS to identify change. Through the photogrammetry modeling process, you can generate surface model information and point clouds. Again, this is very useful for species identification and modeling tasks. We have also developed machine learning models to delineate species from RGB imagery. For instance, Cody crown delineation to assist with Cody dieback surveillance. Tahunatoria is a reserve in East Auckland, complete with shell barrier and wetland ecotypes, and is home to many species of high conservation value. Here we have generated both high-resolution orthos and 360 photo points to map invasive flora. In this Pix4D Cloud viewer, you can navigate and select the different POIs, which are pest plants mapped here, with species labelled. We've also included the 360 photo points here that you can navigate to and explore to confirm a species. So it's quite a nice, easy workflow. Here's another one. Some of the resolution may be lost in this presentation, but they are very high resolution images. This is a similar project at Orangihina Reserve in Te Atatu. It's largely a novel and modified ecosystem, but with significant species of interest. We collected imagery to produce high-resolution orthophoto mosaics, but also digital surface models, digital terrain models, and a point cloud. All this required about 1 hour to collect the data, 1 hour to set up processing, and then about 6 hours to map ecotypes and pull out the points of interest. Here we classified ecotypes to Singers and Rogers and pulled out pampas and other visible and identifiable pest plants, woolly nightshade, blackberry, gorse, arum lily, etc. This in turn informs the master restoration plan for the site. And just a very quick view of the Pix4D Cloud viewer. Zooming in, you can see the high resolution of the imagery. And panning around, you can see the points of interest, most of which are pampas, those points. Again, zooming in, seeing the resolution, and turning off those annotation points so you can actually see what's underneath. Similar approach here, but a much larger site. The some 1,000 hectares of the Whatapu Scientific Reserve on the west coast of Tamaki Makaurau. It is our most significant and largest saline freshwater dune wetland matrix in Auckland. Unfortunately, it has a few unwanted residents, pampas being the most abundant. To collect the data, we were on site for 8 hours of pretty much constant flying. Here on the left, you can see the 7.5 centimetre resolution imagery that was captured as part of the regional program, compared with the 2 centimetre UAV acquired imagery on the right. Flown in April, flowering pampas is easily visible in RGB imagery. This was pulled out by creating training data and utilizing deep learning functionality in the image analyst extension in ArcPro. At the time of writing this presentation, we were still working on improving this, but currently it was returning about 70% accuracy and missing about 20% of individuals. So more work to be done here. Again, here at Whatapu Scientific Reserve, the power of video for storytelling is well known. Its emotive and qualitative characteristics make it a very effective medium for storytelling. From a qualitative monitoring perspective, it effectively captures a point in time that can be referenced pre- and post-control of a pest species. It is also useful as a reference to supplement vertical and oblique imagery to have a greater confidence in what you are mapping. And now there are techniques to map waypoints directly from video. More on this in a second. On the storytelling front, Auckland Council worked with the Department of Conservation, Mana Whenua and landowners to collect content detailing the values and pressures of Kawa Island Haureki Gulf to support a call for funding for the Kawa multi-species eradication project. Over the course of a day, we collected enough video to be used by the project for years to come. This was edited into the following promotional video. These powerful snippets of UAV footage give geographical and landscape context and highlight the value and potential of this project. We have had the ability to map directly from video for some time. Commonly referred to as full motion video, this is a technique that is not really used much in the industry, but has real operational value. FMV involves the georeferencing of video frames to allow the user to map directly from video. Georeferencing the video into what is known as MISBI format is the main challenge. However, there's several off-the-shelf products to assist with this. The one we use is Remote Geosystems. Once the video is in an appropriate format, it can then be utilized in the ArcPro Image Analyst extension. From here, you can directly drop waypoints to map features of interest. Obvious applications include initial site recce, the ability to quickly review a site, detailed pest mapping, and avifauna surveillance. This can also be applied to night thermal video to map pest and mammals points of interest. And here is an example of video used to map an escarpment on a Feta Peninsula. Take note of the locations of gorse, woolly nightshade, and pampas here. 6 minutes of flight time, 1 hour of data processing, and 30 minutes of video annotation, and we have a complete picture of pampas and woolly nightshade distribution along this edge. Flying lower obviously reduces the swathe that you can capture, but potentially allows you to get even more detail. In ES, we have 3 Enterprise UAV drones, a Mavic Enterprise 3, a Matrice 4 Thermal, and a Mavic 3 Enterprise Multispec. The latter allows us to capture multispectral imagery and create multispectral surfaces. This can then be used to manually and auto-classify vegetation. Having primarily been released to support horticulture and viticulture, the 5 megapixel 5-band sensor, including near-infrared and red edge, on this drone is excellent for vegetation health analysis and identification. We have used this at several sites, but still much work to be done here to really see the full benefit. This includes the development of the supervised classification and deep learning models. Bush Glen Reserve on the North Shore is an example where multispec came in handy. This is a swamp Maori site infected with myrtle rust. While multispec was used to identify the progression of the disease, on this occasion we found the RGB imagery to be sufficient to demonstrate dieback in the canopy. Picture data 2022 and 2023 clearly show the dieback in the canopy. Another site where multispec is being used is at Lake Geddes on South Head, that is infestations of Manchurian wild rice. Provided the raupo has died back, Manchurian wild rice can be easily identified due to its distinct multispectral signature. Again, we are yet to run an automated classification here, but the manual use of multispec has still been very useful. Our new DJI Matrice 4T, with its rangefinder waypoint functionality, which allows for live XYZ mapping on the fly, is a game changer. We recently utilized this at Tahunatoria to map pest plants. The rangefinder plus zoom allows for mapping of more cryptic and edge-dwelling pest plants. We also plan in the coming weeks to use this at Lake Geddes to create a complete understanding of Manchurian wild rice distribution. Having used older models of thermal drones, this rangefinder functionality will be of huge benefit to night surveillance of pest mammals and native species. This brings us to the benefits of thermal mapping and video functionality. Our Part 102 certificate has a night certification privilege listed. That's flights at night that do not meet the shielded operations requirements. In order to do so, the following night operation requirements listed here need to be met. Most of these are fairly self-explanatory. However, it's worth to highlight that in addition to Part 102 org and pilot license, each pilot must also hold a separate night rating certification issued by a CAA-approved training provider. While the value of thermal cameras for pest animal surveillance is well documented, this was made very clear to us, rather accidentally, while undertaking different surveys at several West Coast wetlands. Utilising an established doc-bitten search methodology that searched along predefined transects, we documented a significant amount of pest animal activity. Each block here took between 4 to 5 hours to search, flying at around 40 meters and stopping and annotating locations as we went. The ease at which species were identified was a pleasant surprise. Movement, physiology, in particular fur patterns, tended to give away the species. So it was evidently clear that this would be of high value to incursion response and pest animal monitoring and surveillance. And here is some example footage, in this instance, 2 play fighting stoats. In September 2025, utilising the Matrice 4T, we will be undertaking a pest mammal monitoring trial at either Tunnel Point, Whatapu, or a similar accessible site with suitable terrain and vegetation. Importantly, the site must also have established ground monitoring assets in place for comparison purposes. We are very interested in collaborating here if similar work has been undertaken or is being planned. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou I whakarongo mai. Please get in touch if you have any questions about anything you have seen or heard today. Kia ora.